Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of The Pulse. You've got Tamara and Tom with us this evening, and we're going to go through the Microsoft roadmap so you don't have to. And we're going to focus on what's new. So, what we do is we start with what's in development, then we roll on to rolling out, meaning it's coming. Thank you. Thank you. It's rolling out to environments as we speak. And finally, we'll touch on what's launched, meaning you should see it in your environment. And then we'll talk about anything that has been canceled. So if you were looking to forward something, there are a couple things on the cancel list. We don't mean to disappoint, but we are here to inform. So Tom, why don't you kick us off with your favorite things in development?
Sure. Let me scroll down a little bit to give you some of the better stuff up at the top if you want it. One of the things that they have going on, which is rather interesting, being that it's always been this way and it won't now, SharePoint improvements for document library version history limits. So they're increasing version history limits for SharePoint document libraries. Admins can set an appropriate level of recoverability and auditability for their organization. Today, site owners can set count-based version limits at the individual document library level, and that's normal. We've always had that. With the upcoming changes, people will have two version history settings. One is automatically mode that intelligently adjusts based on a version's age and restore probability, and two, manual mode that allows admins to set version expiration and count limits on the versions created. Tenant admins will still be able to set version limits that apply universally to all created document libraries in the org. Site owners can then update settings for their document libraries, version history limits, and management also apply to OneDrive. So I think it's cool that they're starting to get some intelligence potentially behind version history. I'm not sure that I like the idea of the system deciding how many versions of things you should have, and I love the term based on, what was it? Restore probability. That just sounds so loaded.
Yeah,
But
I'm a little worried about that.
yeah, but you'll apparently be able to control it. That's not due out though until March of 2024. So you've got lots of other things to worry about before then. And that is coming out for SharePoint and OneDrive, and worldwide only. So all the government clouds, you still have a breather there. One other thing that I'll mention before handing it back over to my wife, Microsoft Stream, timeline markers and team meeting recordings for when you left or joined a meeting. So in the new stream, basically these markers that show when you came in, when you left, are personalized to you. So we could both be looking at the same video. I'll see a certain set of markers. You'll see a different set of markers because it's for what you did. Markers will only show up in recordings of team meetings that you were invited to and that you joined. This feature is only available for customers who have purchased the premium add-on offering. And yeah, there's so many cool things that are in premium, but premium costs so much. So if you got premium, hey, and you're in GCC, cool things coming out. If you're not in premium and you're not in GCC, then yeah, guess you don't get to play with that one.
And not so much.
Not so much for you. No markers for you. What would you
No.
like to talk about this time?
I'd like to talk about Microsoft Teams, the new Microsoft Teams app. So the new Teams has been reimagined from the ground up, delivering up to 2 times faster performance while using 50% less memory. This enables users to collaborate with people across organizational boundaries by seamlessly using Teams across multiple tenants or accounts. And that, everybody's getting that. That's set for October 2023. It's like we've just moved into this house. Now we're going to rebuild the house, but you'll like it better. And it's rolling out to everybody, DoD, GCC High, GCC, and worldwide.
I know we
And
get a lot of,
then
I was going to say, we get a lot of complaints about the fact that, Teams is a resource
memory
hog.
hog. Yeah.
Yeah. And, it's so slow and all these kind of stuff. If this turns out to work the way they are promising, I think it'll be a great improvement and should make Teams easier to work with in the environment.
Yes. And then OneDrive got a lot of love. OneDrive recommended files. So Microsoft will be showing a set of files that have been recommended for you in OneDrive Home so that you can quickly get back to the content you care about. I would be really interested in how they're going to decide what files are going to be recommended to you, because I can see like anything with your name coming up in it becoming recommended for you. So if it's like a list of raises, that would be nice. If it's a list of people being laid off, that would be nice to know early. But
Yes.
with so many people having so much trouble managing permissions in OneDrive and in SharePoint, that does make me a little bit nervous, because I'm sure it's going to be security trimmed and you should only see the things that you have access to.
Right.
But the fact that nobody knows how to security trim is terrifying. And then also easily get to files shared by people with new people view in OneDrive on the web. So sometimes it can be hard to remember the name of a file or exactly when it was shared, but you generally know who shared it with you. And because of this, Microsoft has created an entirely new way to get back to your shared files, both internal and external, organized by the people you work with. So this view presents the people you've recently been collaborating with, and along with all the files that have been shared with you by each person. And then new meetings view that will help you quickly get back to the content shared in a meeting. Now, this is in your OneDrive. So much of our collaboration happens within the context of meetings, yet how many times have you found yourself trying to scroll back and find a meeting recording from a month ago? Or spend time digging through email to find pre-reading material that nobody pre-reads, give it up, for an upcoming meeting so you can be prepared going in. Now, with this new meeting view in OneDrive, you'll be able to get back to all of your meeting content with just a few clicks. So when you come to meetings view, you'll first see any meetings in the next week that you might need to prepare for, followed by a list of meetings that have already occurred. This view brings together all content shared both in meeting invites, meeting chats, and meeting recordings, all into one place for easy access. Here you'll see a recurring meeting with multiple meeting recordings, all laid out sequentially, so you can catch up on whatever you missed.
I really like that one.
I'm excited. That's a delighter.
Yes. I think that one's going to be really nice. And it should be out next
Yes.
month too.
Yeah.
Better.
Anything else you want to cover in development, sir?
I'll toss out a couple. One, whiteboard external guest sharing. This
Mm-hmm.
feature will allow users to share whiteboards with external guests of your tenant via personal share link, also known as PSL. This feature will respect any SharePoint and OneDrive sharing settings that you have entitled. So if you're saying, hey, we don't allow XYZ, this is not going to bypass that. The SharePoint OneDrive setting admin wise is going to take control. Additionally, if your tenant has business to business invitation manager, didn't even know that was a thing, enabled, this feature will allow you to send a whiteboard via PSL to external users, and B2B IM will create an external guest account for them so they can access the file. Again, if you're doing external whiteboard work with others, I think this is going to be really nice, and it's coming to everybody in September. The very last one that I will mention, Microsoft Teams, they are upping the number of channels that you can
Yeah.
have in Teams. 1,000. Not a challenge, not a dare, but if
Not
you
a
need it,
goal.
not a goal, but if you need it, it's going to be there. So it allows you to have all the channels you ever needed or didn't need organized in one particular team. So that
Now
should be out.
remember, that number is different from private channels.
True. This is just regular channels.
Yeah.
So you can go hog wild on regular channels. I can't even imagine 1,000 channels trying to wade through that. It just,
I can't think of what would have unless somebody had, and this would not be a good idea, an organization team where each group within the organization had its own channel, but that would mean everybody would be in everybody's business.
Right.
So I don't think that would be a good idea.
That could be really ugly. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's all I had.
Okay. 2, I wanted to throw in more OneDrive love. So OneDrive navigation updates in OneDrive for the web. So OneDrive for the web will soon support the ability to expand or collapse the left navigation bar. Additionally, OneDrive will have a new command in the form of a button labeled plus add new for creating new content and uploading folders and files. This command will be available across home, my files, shared, favorites, the recycle bin, and all shared libraries in the quick access section. So note, upload functionality will be accessed via the plus add new command. And then here's a little delighter. Color and font changes in OneDrive for the web. Microsoft is introducing minor color, font, and icon changes to user interface for OneDrive for the web. That's coming out to everybody in July.
Just in time for your colored folders in OneDrive that are also coming out.
Yeah, everybody gets a color.
Yay, colors.
All right, are we ready to go on to rolling out?
Rolling, rolling, rolling. Get those going.
Tom, why don't you get us started with what you like in rolling out?
Sure. Microsoft Planner, rich text in Planner task notes. I swear this has been something that's been promised for at least a year because I kept thinking that was supposed to be there. And every time I tested it, it doesn't work. But apparently it's rolling out now, so maybe it will. It is. The Planner task notes field will support rendering rich text formatting, bold, italic, underline, and more. Users can insert rich text into task notes. Support for images in the notes field will not be included with this feature release, but we are tracking that capability on our backlog. Again, I think if you're using Planner to track a lot of things and being able to put bold in there and maybe bullet points and stuff like that, awesome. Very glad to see that out. And I'm glad I'm not going to keep checking for it and it's not going to be there. And the final thing that I will go ahead and mention is Microsoft Teams compact chat list. So this is a new chat density setting which will enable users to condense their chat list and have more chats visible on the screen. This setting does so by hiding message previews. They've actually had the compact chat for a while, and it reduces a lot of white space or dark space if you're in dark mode. But the thing that I hated about it was that it didn't show the timestamp of the stuff going back and forth. I'm like, how do I know? Well, you had to hover over the message to get the timestamp to actually show up. I thought that sucks. I like compact mode. That's a showstopper for me. So I went back to comfy mode. With these particular changes, we've got this in our tenant. I really like it. I like having more information on the screen. I like being able to see the times like I could see in comfy mode. And I would recommend giving that a shot. I also like the fact that over on the left side navigation, you don't see any little one-liner message, the first 25, 30 characters of your chat, which normally is not that big of a deal. But if you said, Bob was sure stupid, and you happen to share your screen and they see the navigation, they say, Bob sure is Stu. Like, yes, no. You turn on compact, stupendous. I like Bob. If you turn on compact chat, it gets rid of all those one-liners. All you see are the names out there. So that saves you the potential for some embarrassment. So you've got that going for you.
Great.
What do you have on your side?
Just don't type into chat that Bob is stupid.
There is that too, but hey, come on. What do you have?
Oh, I like Microsoft Teams attach cloud files in chat and channel from Teams Mobile. So introducing the ability to upload files from OneDrive from Teams Mobile chat and channel. Also view recent files and attach most used files up front from the recent section.
It's funny, this really confused me because the two entries just back to back here are basically the exact same entries. I'm like, why do they have it twice?
I deleted one of them.
Well, what it is, I think, is one's for iPhone and one's for Android.
Okay.
That's what I'm guessing.
They did not specify that because they
No,
were
they
both
did not.
exactly the same.
They are different roadmap numbers. So
Yes.
that's what I'm guessing it is.
All right. And then I like this one just because. Let me read it aloud. Whiteboard, ink, beautification, and straightening. I'm like, they're going to make a saint out of ink? What? All right. This feature will provide users the ability to beautify. I want to know what beautify is. And straighten ink handwriting in whiteboard to improve legibility. I need that just in my general life when I'm writing on Post-it notes and in my notebook, because I will come back and I'll be like, huh, wonder what that was
I
supposed
have
to
no
be.
clue as to what I wanted to tell myself with that one.
No, but it's important. It has a star. All
Well, it's
right,
kind of
anything
cool.
else in rolling out, sir?
Nope, I'm ready to move on to launched.
All right, let's move on to launch. Why don't you kick us off?
Actually, I only highlighted one item, even though there's a ton of Teams and Purview stuff out there.
Yes.
Microsoft Teams, mark all as read for activity feed. So when you've got your activity feed running down the left-hand side, you can now go through, instead of going click on it, click on it, click on it to clear things off one at a time to mark them as read. You can just go mark all as read, boom, and everything goes from bold to plain text. And you can continue on from there. That's really nice if you have as part of your work cycle review anything that's bolded out there that I haven't read yet. This enables you to get back to a, hey, I'm done with everything because nothing's bold with a single click. So it's a good thing to look at.
Great. There is a Teams button to join meeting from the pre-join screen. So starting today, which is an unspecified date, users can successfully join and participate in a meeting directly with their Teams button on their Microsoft Teams certified paraphernalia. After a user receives a meeting start notification, the user can press the team button to bring up their meeting pre-join screen. Now, a subsequent press of the Teams button will allow the user to join the Teams meeting. And also along that limes, margaritas, limes.
Tiki drinks.
There you go. Teams button to bring meeting stage to foreground during meeting. So with this feature, you can easily bring up the meeting stage to the foreground by pressing on the Teams button during a meeting. This allows users to more quickly to return to the meeting stage to review chat discussion or the content being shared, especially if the meeting stage was hidden behind other windows. This feature only applies to devices with dedicated Teams buttons. If the device has a dual purpose button, both hook switch and Teams button, pressing the button will end the call. Oh, that seems like a user interface issue. You can push this button and it'll bring the meeting right to you, or you will leave the meeting. All right, let's see if there's anything else in launched that I wanted to bring up. Just one, view together mode for everyone on Teams rooms for Windows. So meeting organizers and presenters can select together mode for all participants and select a layout to fit the meeting type. And then we move on to cancel. There are two cancel. One is Exchange of Microsoft 365 cross-tenant, SMTP domain sharing in private preview. This item is being postponed indefinitely. And then Microsoft Purview communication compliance analyzed link content from OneDrive and SharePoint online, chats, and private channels, only for the US government clouds. This has also been delayed indefinitely. So if you were looking forward to those two.
I was going to say, I wonder what the difference is between being postponed indefinitely and being delayed indefinitely.
I think it's the same, but two different people wrote it.
Okay, that works.
All right. Great. Is there anything else you'd like to share, Tom?
Now for anybody who happens to be in that unfortunate circumstance of having InfoPath forms in your environment.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh. It's not
She
funny.
laughs because she's heard this for the last week now. Microsoft has come out with the final guidance that says, hey, we've been telling you that support ends in 2026. They now have issued the date as being July 14th of 2026. After that time, you will not be able to run InfoPath in your environment any longer. It will not work. It will not launch. It will not be there. And the thing at the very end of all the notifications was, there will be no extensions granted to this deadline. So they probably figure you have 36 months to get your act together. So rock on, people. And I know that we've been told for years, get off of InfoPath, and we've been trying.
Oh, I can't hear you.
Fourth level
Nope.
things that you do.
There, I can hear you now.
Okay, of course. I need to amplify my words.
Yes.
Yeah.
So InfoPath, go bye-bye. Bye-bye in the car.
InfoPath, go bye-bye in the car, get your act together. You have 36 months. You don't get an extension.
Thanks for playing.
And thanks for playing. You're going to have a great 3 years.
All right. Thanks so much for bringing that up. I really appreciate it.
Not a problem.
All right, everybody. Have a good week and tune in next week for another episode of The Pulse. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.